retail shareholders of Steinhoff International, who saw the value of their assets nearly wiped out as a result of the company's accounting scandal, have started to receive their settlements money this week. The Stichting Steinhoff Recovery Foundation is an entity that was set up to review the claims and has now begun distributing cash to qualifying claimants. Now, let's take this forward and see how the market's reacting to this. Market analyst Zwelakhe Mnguni joining us this morning. Zwelakhe, hello to you. And I mean, we'll start off by just reminding viewers, I was astonished when I saw the payouts from earlier this week at the height, just before the crash. Tell me if I have my numbers mixed up. It was 46 Rand a share. At the payout, you're lucky to get 5. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct, Gareth. The numbers are astounding. I think if you look at what people lost versus what they got in the end, I think the numbers are materially different. So those that were invested just before the crisis, they actually lost over 90% of their money.
Sure. Gone, just written off in one night, basically in 24 hours as well. So why the payoff on this? Not the payoff. Payoff has a negative sentiment. I mean, why the payout on this? Why was it so important to do? Because they could have just walked away and said, look, we don't have the money. The CEO has run off. He did what he wasn't supposed to do. Why did they go through all this trouble of trying to get some kind of reparations?
Yeah, so actually, Gareth, this is an organization that is actually a shareholder interest organization. So it's got nothing to do with the company other than that what they did is they looked at who are the people who may be culpable in the entire scandal, and they went after them. So one of those people that they went after were the auditors, basically the Deloitte. And this payout in particular relates to Deloitte settling the claims that were made by shareholders. I think the claims were ran into billions.
Yeah.
But what they did is they settled for 55 million euros, if I'm not mistaken, about 1.2 billion rands. I mean, just to put that number into context, so I think if you remember, Marcus Joos's assets were frozen by the Reserve Bank. They were worth about 1.2 billion. The Steinhoff market cap are probably between 1 billion and 1.2 billion. So today, versus what it was, I think it peaked at about 350, 360 billion rands.
So it's almost a bit of a drop in the ocean, really, when you give that context. You get a sense of just how damaging this has been. Just give me a sense. I want to ask about criminal versus civil action in a case like this Steinhoff matter. But also, what do you understand about the prospect for Marcus Joos's arrest? We know he was meant to appear over in Germany. There was a bit of an issue there. So where are we on that? And what does it mean for criminal versus civil, to your understanding?
Yeah, so if you look on this type of settlement basically arises from the civil action where the investors basically were suing in their civil capacity. I think the criminal case is basically a state matter which is being investigated by the Hawks. And so in that particular case, the case that they're investigating, there are two cases. There's one case that was laid by me. There's the other one that was laid by the company much later. And I think maybe to give context why I laid criminal charges against Marcus Joos, this is basically a case for all South Africans to say if things happen in the private sector where there are frauds, there is generally a lot of cover-ups, and what I try to do was to block that cover-up so that the case can be investigated. And then there are also on the other side where you find that companies who is liable. I mean, it's difficult to say the board members were liable. I think they probably didn't do their work well, but I don't think they were complicit in the crime. But I think within the executive, there were some people who were liable there. So as far as the case goes on my end, I got an update from the police 2 days ago that they are just waiting for the last few documents from from a few countries, I think Switzerland, Australia, UK, and maybe one more country, where they will then conclude the investigation and hand it over to the prosecutors to then take it forward now. So I think we are getting close. It's taken too long, but we are getting close. I think from a prospect of being arrested, I mean, if you look at the German case, in Germany, they will be arresting him for failing to appear in court when he was indicted. So that is the first case. They haven't found him guilty yet of anything. Yeah. I think in South Africa, I think we are getting close to a point where they will be able to effect an arrest from once the investigation has been concluded. And I think in that regard as well, the police have quite a substantial piece of evidence that it was there probably 2-3 years ago that if I remember correctly, that they can use that evidence to basically prosecute Marcus Jooste today. But I think what they've tried to do is to go for the full case rather than the bits and pieces that are prosecutable individually. That has cost them a long time in that regard.
And I appreciate your time in joining us this morning as Zwelakhe, and I think we're going to be touching base with you again. As you say, nearing the end, there is a very good chance that there could be an arrest once handed over to prosecutors. Zwelakhe Mnguni, markets analyst as well. Many people will, of course, recognize Zwelakhe, not just as a market analyst as well, but someone very involved, very involved, very knowledgeable of this Stein heist, if you will. There's a hint for you where you can go and see what else Zwelakhe has been saying over the past few years. But I really do appreciate his time in joining us this morning.